We are going to mark our trousers. Then I have layers of fabric placed in this form. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trousers. Now these trousers are for one person, so don't bother yourself by the colors you are seeing, but just take the way of drafting. Since it's for the same person, so for me to save time, that's why I have to lay them all together. Then you must make sure you place your rule in this form. Then to get a straight base at the hem area, bear in mind that this base is very important as well. So mark it out. As you can see that this edge is not straight, so but with the help of this your new line, you will have a straight rule at this point. Then after this, you also mark out this base here. So I'm trying to make sure that the layers of fabric placed is properly covered by this new base I am drafting now. So I am marking from here this way across, making sure that I have a straight line. Don't mind the extent of marking I'm doing here is because of the layers of fabric I placed underneath. So you have to make it in this form. So mark them to go off. Then the line must be straight as possible. Then after this, you mark 2 inches here. Now these 2 inches will serve you for the folding or hemming of the trouser, right? So mark 2 inches here. Make sure you have 2 inches marked out in this form, and then you extend your lines in this form as well. Extend your lines in this form as well. Then after this, the next you will do is to apply your trouser length. Now the length I have is 38.5. 38.5. Then I will mark my waistline here, and then I will mark my waistline as well here, right? Then after that, you extend this line to become your waistline. So here is my waistline. So I have it in this form. Then the next you will determine is the crouch depth. Now the formula for the crouch depth for female is hips over 4 minus 1. So the hips measurement I have for my customer, I got a hips measurement of 41. Then divided by 4, I have it to be 10.25. Then the normal formula for all female crouch is hips over 4 minus 1. So I will have it to be at 9.25. But because of I want it to be a bit fitted or a bit free, I will use 9.5 for my customer's crouch depth. Then the knee point I have is a knee point of 20, right, which was taken from the measurement from the person's waist to the knee is 20. Then this one is the crouch, which is gotten by hips over 4 minus 1, constant for all female. Then extend the lines in this form. Extend the lines in this form. Extend the lines as well in this form. Then after you must have done the lines extension, now it's now time for you to apply the customer's hip measurement in that area. So I have it to be 10.25 here. Then extra 2 inches, right? Then once you have gotten to this point, the total distance from here to here is 12.5. So trying to get the midpoint, I have it to be 6.25. So you mark 6.25 to get the midpoint. 6.25 to get the midpoint. 6.25 to get the midpoint this way. 6.25 to get the midpoint this way. Then after this, the next you will do is to connect the midpoints. Now this midpoint is called the plumb line. It helps you to know the center of the trouser. So you must connect the midpoints across this way, right? Then after this, now the next you will do now is to divide your person's knee measurements by 4. So the knee we had is 18. So you have to divide by 2 first. You have 8.5. Sorry, you have a knee of 17. Divide by 2 first. You have 8.5. Then divide your tape again by 2. You have 4.25. Somewhere here, you mark your knee circumference here, and then mark your knee as well here, right? Then the ankle we have is ankle of 13. 13 by 2 is 6.5. Then divide the 6.5 by 2 again. 6.5 by 2 again. So you have it from the center line, 3.25 here and 3.25 here, right? Then after which you extend this line to come up a bit. You extend this line to come up a bit. Sorry, let me sharpen my chalk. So you extend this line to come up a bit in this form. Extend this line as well to come up a bit straight. Now the extent of the line extension might be a length of 9 inches from the 2 inches hem, just like that. Then take your hip curve, now connect this line, connect this one to your knee point in this form, and then connect this one as well from here. All right, so now we are connecting from the ankle point. You connect back towards the hip line, right? Connect straight up this way. Make sure that this connection must be smooth as possible, and then you can raise this line up a bit, raise it up a bit, right? And then before you connect to the knee line from the ankle, and then connect it back again to the hip point this way. Connect this way to the hip points, right? And then after this, you now mark your waist. Now, in marking the waist point, now you have two options. If you are putting zip at the center point, you are going to mark your waist from this area, 32. We have a waist of 32, 8 inches plus extra 1, right? For plus extra 1. Then, but if you're not putting zip, if it's going to be a side zip, you are going to make this crotch line, this hip line, to come straight to the waist this way, and then mark your waist measurements backwards. So you have 8 inches here, right? And then 1 inch. But however, any of these methods can still go for whether zip or flap. Then from this point, you now connect to this area as well, right? And then come down by half an inch, that's 0.5, and then take it out to these points as well, and then come up here by 2 this way and mark here 0.5. With the help of your armhole curve, you can now connect in this form, and then this is how your front panel will look like. Then you now impute your pocket measurements from the waistline 7 inches down, or 6.5. However, then from the side point 2 inches or 2.5. I'm using 2.5. I'm using 2 inches for my customer, and then this is the front panel of your trouser. So I will cut this now and show us how to cut the back. All right, so now I am done cutting out the front panel. So the next we will do now is to cut the back. So the easiest way to cut the back is to, so now after cutting the front panels, I had to take one piece of the front for me to place and record the back. Now the difference from the front to the back is a slight difference, but then I will want to show us a typical female trouser, how to go about it. Now the first thing you need to do is to extend the crotch line to the back panel. Extend this line here to the back panel this way, and then on the sides, the hip point, extend the line straight up from here to come out in this form. Extend this straight up to come out in this form. Then this is your plumb line, the center line. Also try to bring it out to this point for you to also know the center of the back. Then the back panel is meant to have extra 2 inches extensions. So you have to mark 2 inches all through. 2 inches all across this way, 2 inches all across, 2 inches all across. Then you take your hip curve, connect them in twos. First one to the second one to the third one to the fourth one, and fourth one to the fifth one, right? Then after this, you're now going to apply your waist measurement from here backwards. So the waist we had was 32, which was 8. So you mark 8 inches here. Then add extra 1.5 to this. You have 1.5. Then, but because of we are going to have that at the back, so add extra half again. That's 2. Now the extra 1.5 inch is for the inseam allowance and the sewing allowance. Then from that point, with the help of your hip curve, then you are going to extend the crotch panel of the back by 2 inches as well. So you're going to make a curve connecting from this point to the 2 inches and to the one on the waist point. So this is how the back panel will be cut. And then at the edges here, you might decide to put ½ inch or 1 inch at the edge. Now the reason for this is for the stitching or the join allowance, for you to have enough space to join the panels at the sides, and as well for your weaving inch, for you to be able to weave properly without shortening the piece of the panels of the trouser. Extend the lines in this form, then blend it in from this point, blend it in from here to this point, blend it in. Now the hip should not have any extension, it should be equal here, but have an extension from here and then 2 inches at this point. Then the back raising is raised by 1.5 inch or 1.7, but the maximum you can have is 2 inches from the point of the front slope. So mark 1.5 inch or 1.7 inch up, and then slope it out in this form, and this serves you for the back panel of your trouser. So I will leave the video on to cut for you to see where I am cutting from. In case of any confusion, the cutting might help you to clarify better. So you cut from this angle and cut out this, and then because I told us that it's for the same customer, that's why I'm having a layers of fabric coming out at the same time. It saves time as well. Then cut in that direction, and then cut here as well, cut here as well. So take your time to do this. Now the reason I am showing you the cutting for you to as well see how it will come out. For some of us that might have issues with the marking, so the cutting might help you to clarify more. So cut exact length as well. So cut exact length as well. Cut it out this way, and then you also cut from here. You also cut from here. So this is how you will cut your panels from the front and back. So I will also include the piece, the components cutting, which happens to be the flap, the band, and the belt loop, which I will also tell us the measurements we are going to use in the cutting as well. All right, so I have cut them out, and this is how it looks like. Then don't forget to also differentiate the front and back. Of course, this is the back as well, so you remove this one for the front panel, then mark this one here, then raise them up as well, mark as well, mark this way, mark this way, mark this one. So mark. So this is how to mark the front and the back panels of your trouser. So let's now cut the components. All right, so now we have cut the front and back panels, and then let's cut the flaps. Then you have to know that these shapes that are coming out are for the flaps. Then you bring them out this way. Then this is pocket facing, and this is the flap. So you need to cut them out and use it to form your flap. So you will just take your time, arrange them properly, and cut them off. So let me arrange them and get back to you. All right, so now you cut out this from this edge. Then once you cut out properly, now the next thing you will do now will be to trim them. Now the trimming, the measurement you have for the width is 2.5 inches to 3 inches width. Then the length of 8 to 9 inches. Now it all depends on the crouch depth you used. That will be the factor to know the length you're going to have here as well. But you cut them out, trim them a bit this way. Then after this, the next you will do is to as well trim the pocket facing, right? Don't forget that this person owns the whole trouser, so you are using the same measurement to cut the whole trouser. So you will not cut them like this. If you're having different customers with different measurements, please note. Then on the trouser cutting, the back panel additions, if you notice, I added 1 inch at the sides. Then you can add 1.5 inch at the inner leg if you are going to use 1.5 inches. If you're going to use 1 inch at the side. But in the case whereby you don't want to use 1 inch at the side, you can still cut them exact size and it will still give you the same results. So the size of the pocket facing now will be 3.5 inch width to 4 inches width. Then the length will be a length 4 inches deeper or longer than your pocket notching. So 3 inches deeper, however. So just make it to have this shape. So I have here to be 3.5 inches, 3.7, and length of 10. So we had pocket of 7, so 3.5 is okay, or 4 is okay. So our pocket facing is done. Now the next we are going to cut is the band. So the band measurement for the female trouser, we are going to make a regular band. We are not going to make an English band because it's a female outfit. So we are going to make a regular band. So the band we are going to cut will be width of 4 inches by the length of your customer's waist circumference plus extra 5 to 7 inches. So we're going to cut this one now. Make sure you iron them properly, right? Iron them properly and then cut a width of 4 inches this way by the length of the waist circumference of your customer plus extra 5 to 7 inches. All right, so we are cutting the band. So the band we are going to have is 4 inches width. So since it's this way, so I will mark 4 inches here, 4 inches this way, 4 inches this way. But then the length I have here, I don't think will be enough for my waist is 32, which is 16. Extra 4 to 5, so I'm using 5. So here it's not up to 4, so it will not work from here. So I would rather use another material to draft it out. So I will keep this for possibly any other combination or any other use, right? So just keep this. Then I'm bringing out another fabric from here. So the whole yardage I have